My heart is in.
Alright, I'm in a rhythm, so I'll just keep doing videos, man. Let's speak on Andre Ward real quick, okay, and Paul Smith. I'm glad that Andre Ward got a fight. Alright, let's just get that out of the way. I'm glad he got a fight against a decent opponent, okay? Paul Smith is a decent opponent, alright? Besides his losses or whatever, he's still a good fighter. All right. A lot of people argue that he won the first fight against Arthur Abraham. I'm glad Ward is coming back. The catch weight thing, I really don't know where to go with that. Okay, because I think from what I read, they're saying that Ward is trying to figure out if he can make the weight or see how it goes with the weight. I don't know. You know how I am about catch weights. I'm starting not to like them, dislike them more and more every year because it seems like everyone is doing it. Okay. If Andre Ward feel that he cannot make 168 after this fight, he's just gonna have to go up to 175. Okay, and he's gonna have to do it, especially if he wants a title shot for anyone, because obviously he can't make 168. I'm very disappointed that Carl Froch didn't take the fight. It's not like I think Ward is ducking, because he actually did want the fight with Carl Froch before picking Paul Smith. Okay, from what his camp is saying, they were trying to get the Carl Froch fight, and it didn't happen. I don't know what's going on with Carl Froch, but starting to look like he's on the verge of retiring because he really wanted the Julio Cesar Chavez fight, and maybe he still wants it, but the loss of Fafara might have ruined his dreams of that fight and fighting in Las Vegas. But I'm glad Andre Ward is returning. Now, as far as Andre Ward and him just being, I don't think it's a tune-up fight, okay? If you want to, you can make an argument that it is a tune-up fight because of the level that we consider Andre Ward. I mean, most people would, or a lot of people put him up at number 2 pound for pound for so long, even when he was inactive. So for a guy with his type of skill, you would think that Paul Smith is technically kind of like a tune-up fight for him. Being that he hasn't fought in a while, it's not a tune-up fight, But the thing is, Andre Ward has so many gaps in between fights in his career. You can't really go into the fight thinking, oh, how is Ward going to be? I mean, the dude is not old yet. He's still in his younger 30s. So I think Andre Ward is going to fight as good as he has fought in any other fight. I wouldn't expect anything less, all right? There was a gap between, when he fought Chad Dawson. I think there was a gap. I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. Then they had the Rodriguez fight. Edwin Rodriguez. Okay, there was a gap between that fight, and now there's another gap with Paul Smith. So I'm just going to assume that Andre Ward is going to fight on the top level because he knocked out Chad Dawson and he shut out Edwin Rodriguez, an undefeated Edwin Rodriguez, a guy that weighs much more than him, and a big knockout puncher. He fought a very physical fight with that guy. Jack Reese ref that fight. That fight was a mess, man. So I'm not expecting anything less from Andre Ward, even though he hasn't fought in a while, because Andre Ward never fights a lot. All right, he just doesn't. Ever since the Super 6 tournament, he fights whenever he pleases. Or if he has surgery, he had his surgery, then he had his promoter issues with Goosen. Um, so now this fight, I'm expecting Ward to win. Okay, if he can get the knockout, it'd be very impressive. Paul Smith is a good boxer. Okay, I thought he was somewhat kind of the better boxer than Abraham, but Abraham, he has that tight, high guard, kept walking forward, has a lot of power. He really couldn't do nothing. Even though he was outboxing him at some instances, every time he got hit with Abraham's shot, it seems like Abraham has had more effect. He was stronger, just coming forward, walking him down. So the first fight doesn't even matter. But I'm expecting Andre Ward to deliver, either shut him out or knock him out, okay, or stop him. Okay, I think it's going to be a dominating performance. I'm going. You know what? I'm going for a stoppage. All right. And Paul Smith is a good fighter, but I think Andre Ward is going to be able to stop him. Okay, he stopped Chad Dawson. I know Chad Dawson doesn't have a chin. I know he might have been weight trained. He might have been weight trained, but he stopped Chad Dawson. Okay, he's shutting guys out left and right. I don't think there's no doubt in my mind, and he stays fit when he's not fighting. He's not a guy that drinks and parties and stuff. He's similar to Floyd on how he cares about his health. So I'm expecting Andre Ward to stop Paul Smith. Paul Smith is a good fighter, but he's just not on a level of Andre Ward or anywhere near that. Okay. So anyway, that's how I feel about the fight. I think it's gonna be out in Cali. I think it's gonna be out in Oakland, where Ward is from. But as far as the weight, like I said, if he cannot make 168, and at this point, I really don't believe he could. I really don't think so. He's gonna have to move up to 175, and that's a whole nother league. Okay, but he could do well at 175 because he's always fought bigger physical guys. I think he fought Saki Obika at a time where that fight was like 5-6 years ago. Saki Obika was a lot harder to beat than he is obviously today. Okay, we saw Anthony Durrell beat him twice. Well, got in 2 rough matches with him. I think the Saki Obika that Andre Ward fought was a lot tougher than the one that Durrell fought. Okay, and Donald Stevenson fought recently. I do think Ward can compete, but he's always going to be the smaller guy. It's just that he's going up. He's going to have to go up. But we'll get to that bridge when we'll get there when we get there. He has to get through Paul Smith first at the end of the day, regardless of what I think. Then we'll start talking about the Kovalevs and the Stevensons and Beterbievs. I don't think anybody's safe in the ring with Beterbiev. So that's all I feel about Andre Ward. We just gotta wait and see. Glad he's back in the ring. Hopefully we get more fights for him. I don't know how much juice Rock Nation has, but we need to get these guys in the ring regularly. Because Andre Ward spent he wasted a lot of good years. Hopefully we can start at least get him at least twice a year. We gotta get him at least twice a year. All right. But we'll see what happens. Ward is the kind of guy, like, he feels like he's up there. He's sitting on top of the throne, and he wants guys to come to him. So we'll see what happens with that, all right? So that's my thoughts. I'm not going to do a prediction video. This is my prediction video. I think Andre Ward is going to stop Paul Smith. And that's it, all right?